In this video, we will be analyzing the different types of explanation of benefits we receive from our primary insurance carriers. It is important to understand the information given on these EOBs in order to enter insurance payments correctly, as well as problem-solving claim denials. Throughout this video, I will be referring to explanation of benefits as EOBs. As you can see at the top, I have gathered several EOBs from different insurance carriers. I chose such a selection to provide you with a wide variety of EOB examples. The layout as well as the verbiage for each of these EOBs varies, so there are instances where we must problem solve or use calculations to gather the correct information needed. As we go through each EOB, I will briefly go over how to find or figure out the important information needed for claim payments and denials. There are a few key elements on an EOB that one should be familiar with. First and foremost is the patient name. You will need this to verify you are on the correct account. Not every EOB will provide the patient date of birth, but I have highlighted it in pink, same as the patient name, as it can be useful when multiple patients share the same name. Don't confuse the patient name with the subscriber's. Although the subscriber's name and ID are not always necessary, they are both important when dealing with denials, so I have highlighted those in blue. Next, you will need to know the date of service and the code submitted for services rendered. I have highlighted both in yellow, as you will need these when comparing to the patient's account in EagleSoft. There are instances where an account may have either multiple dates of service or the same codes or the same date of service with different codes. So be diligent when comparing the date of service and codes on the explanation of benefits to those in EagleSoft. Once you have figured out the who, what, and when of the claim, it's time to figure out the how much. First amount to look for is how much insurance has paid. I have highlighted these amounts in green. Next will be the patient's responsibility, which I have highlighted in red. This is the amount we are to collect from the patient for services rendered. There are instances where we may resubmit a code due to a denial, so the total patient responsibility may not be accurate in that instance. The contracted fee allowance is the amount we are allowed to charge the patient according to our contract with their insurance company. This is important because the fees in EagleSoft need to correlate with those on the explanation of benefits so that the account is accurate. I have highlighted these fees in orange. Last important piece of information will be the remark codes. These remarks or notes on the claim give further explanation to the denials, down codes, deductibles, and any other comments insurance has made on the claim. These are especially important because if there is a denial, we must take further steps to ensure we receive full payment from their insurance. The remarks are also useful when communicating denials or any additional patient portion than originally anticipated to the patient. For the claims that have remarks, I have highlighted them in purple. Now that you know what information we are looking for and why, let's explore the EOBs and go through each individual claim. Keep in mind that each explanation of benefits not only has different verbiage, but the location of the information will vary. First, we're going to pull up a Delta EOB. Locating first the patient name. As you see here, it's Elizabeth. There is no last name given. We do have a birthday on here for 2/11 of 1985. With this specific EOB, because there isn't a last name given, you could always refer to the subscriber over here, which gives last name, comma, first initial. So typically speaking, the last name of the subscriber is going to match the patient name. That isn't always the case, but at least you could use this subscriber to pull up the account because they should be connected on EagleSoft. Worst comes to worst, you can always utilize the patient name and date of birth in EagleSoft to find the correct Elizabeth. Next thing we're going to look for is the date of service. As you can see here, looks like they were seen on 1/13 of 2022. And the codes, so this is going to be the services that were rendered. Looks like it was an exam, bite wings, and a cleaning. Now on to what insurance is paid. They have it labeled here as plan pays. Okay, we're going to look down here at the total, the very bottom line, which is 142, which is the amount that they paid us. If you look up this column here, you can see the amount that they paid per code. Next is what patient responsibility is. So patient pays, And look down here at the total is 0. So it looks like insurance has covered everything in full at 142. Next, you'll look at the contract allowance over here, which is the contracted fees. So each of these amounts should match for each of these codes in EagleSoft, because we want the total for the date of service here to obviously match what we're allowed to charge the patient. Next claim, again looking for patient name, John, birthday is 1/1 of 1980, subscriber, last name Spade, first name starts with J, got the subscriber ID right here, plan paid us $65.60, patient owes $79.40. If you're looking over here at the date of service, seen on 113 as well, and if you look at the code here, it looks like we submitted a D2392, which is a filling. And if you look down here, it looks like it has the same code with the same, or different code with the same tooth. That just means that they did a down code. Typically, that means that either they don't cover the type of products that we use for the filling, because we do use white filling and not silver or metals. Some insurance companies don't cover that, so they will downcode it or downcode it to what they see fit for coverage. So in this case, that's what they have done. So remember to make sure that EagleSoft matches the fee amounts. They could differ due to the downcode here. And looking over here with the what insurance paid and what the patient is paid. What I like to do in instances when you're unsure, if you want to verify that the amounts are correct or that you have highlighted the correct column as well for the fees, you can always do what insurance is paid, which is $65.60, plus what the patient owes, which is $79.40, and that should equal the total contract allowance. Okay. Just a little trick I like to use. And there are some EOBs that don't actually give us the fee or the contract allowance that we're allowed to charge the patient. And so we actually have to utilize that calculation there in order to figure it out. So on this claim here, you will see we do have remark codes. This looks like for 25 and 27. These are typically at the bottom of the EOB. So looking here, 25 means deductible amount and 27 means coinsurance amount. So going back up to that explanation or that claim there. So it's just saying here that looks like there is a deductible amount. So it's the patient portion here is the deductible amount plus the coinsurance amount. So that is the $79.40 that we do need to collect from the patient. Next claim, patient name, John, date of birth, 1/1 of 1980. Subscriber, last name Spade, first initial J, got the subscriber ID right here, seen on 113 of 2022 as well. Looks like it was the exam and a cleaning. Look over here, insurance paid 102, patient owes nothing, and it looks like for the total contract amount 102, so look, they did pay in full there. No code over here. This is an instance that I was talking about earlier in the sense of, same patient, same date of service here, but two different claims with different codes. So make sure when you're entering these into EagleSoft that you are entering them for the correct day for the correct codes services, because otherwise it could show that there is a balance or a credit on the account that is not actually accurate. All right, on to an Aetna EOB here. As you can see, patient name Elizabeth Spade. There is no date of birth on this EOB. There is a subscriber name. They have it listed as member name, John Spade, and the ID is right here. Date of service, which they have labeled as service date. It's got 12/9 of 2021. The codes we have, looks like we have two fillings here. Next, we're going to look for what insurance is paid. They have it labeled as payable amount over here, as you can see in green. Total amount paid was $168. Patient is responsible for $42. Let's go ahead and do our calculation here of 168 plus 42 equals 210, which, as you can see over here, They have it labeled as negotiated amount, which is actually the contracted fees. But as you can see, there is the 210. Next one, we've got patient name of John Spade. Member looks like it's himself, John Spade, and member ID there. Remember, there's no birthday on this one. Date of service was 12/8. Looks like they were seen for perio maintenance. We got some x-rays, intraoral, and an exam as well. Going over here, looks like we have insurance payable amount here. Insurance paid us $167. Patient is responsible for $87. And it looks like, as you can see here, the C remarks I've highlighted in purple, there is in fact a comment that they have here, a remark. This amount is not payable either because it is not a covered expense under the member's plan or because the member has already exceeded the maximum amount allowed. So because this is a perio maintenance, and as you can see 12/8, it's at the end of the year, probably due to frequencies, probably his insurance only allows maybe 2 perio maintenances covered a year. And so at this point, this is what the patient owes out of pocket. Either way, we need to be collecting $87 from the patient. Insurance has paid us $167. Always make sure that these amounts here match in EqualSoft. Let's double check the math. 254, and there we are. Okay. Looks like we have another one here for Elizabeth Spade. Member or subscriber, we have John. Member ID here. Remember, there's no date of birth on this one. Date of service is 12/7. Looks like they were seen for perio maintenance. We have insurance paid us $63.75. Patient responsibility is $11.25. And it says here for the negotiated amount, otherwise the contracted fee is $75. So you can always obviously add what the patient owes and what insurance is paid and get those together, or you could always do it the opposite way of total amount minus maybe what the patient owes, and it should still be the same so long as you get the numbers in there correctly. Yes. 63.75. It's always good to double, triple check your work. As you can see, we all make mistakes. So it never hurts to do the math more than once, especially if it doesn't seem right the first time. Going on to an Anthem EOB here. As you can see, this one looks a little different, and we're missing a couple colors here. This is one of those EOBs that doesn't give you all the information that we would like. First and foremost, you'll see here we have patient name is Timothy Spade. Date of birth, we have 3/1 of 2010. And you look here, member or subscriber is going to be John Spade. Okay, this is one of those where you see they're very close together and you want to make sure that you're not mixing them up, especially when it comes to families being seen on the same day. Typically, they all like to come in so we can have multiple cleanings on the same day, or maybe everyone did come in and get their fillings done. Whatever the case may be, just make sure that you are applying it to the correct account of the patient and not the member. Okay. So we have the subscriber here with John and the member ID number here in blue as well. Next, we have date of service, 12/16 to 2021. We have over here the codes, or they have it as the procedures, which are, looks like we have 2 fillings. Next, we're going to look at what insurance is paid, which they just have it as paid. You can see highlighted in green. We have it as $82.40. We have a patient responsibility of $20.60. And as you can see here, there is no orange. And so we don't actually have the contracted fees on here for you to see. There's a couple ways we could figure it out. We could do the what we typically do, which would be the $20.60 plus $82.40 is going to equal $103. Or another way to do it, as you can see here, we have the billed amount. Okay, so that's going to be the R fees that we submitted, and then the PPO discount. So this is what we're going to subtract the billed minus the discount, and that's going to actually be our fee. As you can see, the billed amount and discount amount are the same, and you'll see here that there is a reference or a remark code. So this is probably a denial here. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to go down to this next line. As you can see, 182 minus 79 equals 103. 2060 plus 8240, 103. Okay, so the contracted fee allowance for this code, the 2391, is going to be 103. All right, we're going to look over here at this reference or remark code 249. Our records indicate benefits were previously issued for the same tooth and or related procedure at the same dental office. Follow-up care or additional treatment does not warrant additional benefit consideration. Participating dentists have agreed to collect only the amount shown as patient responsibility. Refer to the important information section of your benefit booklet. Policy, Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield is the trade name of community insurance company and independent license, so on and so forth. Okay, so essentially that is saying that they already paid for this or paid for something similar done to the tooth, and they're not going to pay for this, and we cannot charge the patient. So the fee for that specific code in EagleSoft for that tooth is going to be at 0. Okay. Next, we're going to look here. This is from the exchange site. So we get a couple different types of insurance off of this site. Typically, it is the deltas. So this is another delta type of EOB, but there are other companies that we do get off of there. It just kind of depends on what your office is signed up for. Scrolling down here, we're going to see claim payment detail 1. All right, so we have patient name here for Timothy Spade. We do have subscriber name right underneath, John Spade. Be sure not to confuse the two. We have the subscriber ID underneath right here. Date of service, or they have it as service date, 1/15/2022. We have the procedure code. Looks like they had some sealants done. Insurance paid, or what they have as payable amount of $78. Patient responsibility is at 0. As you can see here, they have the actual allowed amounts for each of the codes here. They don't have a total down here for those amounts, but as always, you can do the addition between the patient responsibility and the insurance payment to get the total amount here. But they do have them per code here, so that way you can match them up in EagleSoft. As you can see, I've highlighted these numbers here. Those are the remark codes. Those are going to be right underneath each individual claim on this EOB. And as this says, claim specific negotiated discount. So it's saying that this was obviously the submitted charge was $56. They're giving them a $17 discount, creating it or making the actual allowed fee amount the $39, which is what they paid us. We are not allowed to charge the patient any, meaning this is just the amount here. Make sure that that matches in EagleSoft. On to the next claim. Patient name, we have Elizabeth Spade. Subscriber is John. Subscriber ID there. Again, this is an EOB that doesn't provide the patient date of birth, but since it does have a subscriber name and ID in there as well, it does make it a lot easier to find the patient if there are duplicate names. On to the service date, 1/15/2022. Looks like we have procedure codes are cleaning and an exam here. Payable amount, so insurance has paid us here. Down here, the total is 102. Patient responsibility is none. As you can see, we do have some remark codes here again. And again, just saying that it is the claim-specific negotiated discount, meaning again, those are the actual amounts there. So the 34 and the 68 should correlate those amounts should correlate for these codes in EagleSoft. On to the next claim. Looks like we have Timothy, subscriber is John, subscriber ID here, again, no date of birth. Service date is 1/15, procedure codes, looks like we have an exam, child cleaning, and some fluoride. Looking over here, insurance or payable amount. So insurance paid us 1/15. Patient owes us nothing. Obviously, this is what insurance paid per code. As you can see, the actual allowed matches that. 131, it's the same remark codes we've been getting as on the other claims, which is just stating that that is a discount for each of those codes. Okay, on to the United Healthcare EOB. This one's a little different. As you can see, up here we have, it says member name. Up here, so we have provider, member name. The provider name is the Jason Stott. Member name is Spade John, so John Spade, and the ID number is right behind it, is following it. So this one is a little different. The subscriber and member name are typically the same, and so it's going to be there's only going to be one name. You'll never see multiple in these. And then we have the date of service right here for 12/21 of 21, and the ADA code of what was the service that was completed is over here underneath with the ADA code description, as you can see there. Kind of weird how they have it laid out over here, but just know that it's always doctor information first, patient, and then down here is the services that were rendered. Go over here to the right, amount paid is what insurance has paid us, the $23.20. Patient responsibility is $76.80. We have here the amount allowed, or the contracted fee is $100. Let's go ahead and double check that amount. We have $23.20 that insurance paid. Patient owes $76.80 equals $100. Okay, so that is correct there. Looks like it says EOB code. That's the same thing as a remark code. So K69 notes down here, patient responsible for difference in cost between service rendered and the fee for the service on which the plan benefit is based. So it's just saying that patient is responsible for the $76.80. Okay, on to the next claim. See here, we have the member name is Elizabeth Spade. ID number here, no date of birth. Looks like they were seen on 12/21 as well for an exam and a cleaning. Insurance has paid us a total of $89. The patient owes nothing, and the allowed amount or the contracted fees are $89. Total and $89. Again, per line is per code there, so make sure that these match up in EqualSoft. As you can see, we do have an EOB code of PSC on each line. Note here says the charge exceeds the allowable amount for this procedure. So again, just saying this is so amount claimed. So this is the amount that we sent in. They're saying, hey, that's too high. That's not what we agreed upon. This is actually the contracted allowed, the allowable amount that we contracted with you. So this is what we will be paying, paid in full. Patient owes nothing. Okay. On to the MetLife EOB. You scroll down here for the first claim payment information. Right, so again, we have the patient name and the insured or the subscriber very close to one another, so be sure that you're highlighting the correct one. So patient is Elizabeth Spade, insured is John. Member ID down here. There's no date of birth on this EOB. As you can see, if you scroll down a little bit, we have the date of service is going to be over here on the left column. Looks like 12/1 of 2021. Procedure code is right next to it, right here. It looks like we had some different fillings done. Next is going to be patient responsibility, which is up here in the totals. Patient responsibility is $84.90. Insurance has paid us $198.10. As you can see per code over here, I have highlighted the how much insurance has paid us for each individual line. Now, as you can see here, I have the contracted fees. There is none highlighted down here in the claim detail, but they do have the total coverage amount of the 283. That is your total contracted fee amount. So the way to figure it out with this EOB is you're going to have to do a little bit of math here. All right, so what you'll do per code, so we're going to start here with this code right here, the D2330. What you're going to do is you're going to take the charge amount of the 182 and you're going to subtract this 95. which equals 87. Okay? To go even a step further to make sure that it is correct, you could take the payment amount and patient responsibility. They should equal out to be this number. So let's just go ahead and minus whatever the patient responsibility is, 2610, and we should get the payment amount of 6090. Okay? So as you can see, just a little bit of math to figure it out. So the information is there, it's just not specifically written out. So in order to check these codes in EqualSoft, you will have to do a little bit of math to make sure that the fee amounts in EqualSoft are correct. So you could do it one of two ways: the charge amount plus this contractual obligations. You're going to subtract the contractual amounts from the charge amount, okay? Or you can add the payment amount and the patient responsibility. Either way, the total should match. You can always double check by doing both. As you can see over here, control number, that's actually the remark codes or the comments that they have for each part of the claim. And as you can see here, they are all the same. Charge exceeds fee schedule, maximum allowable or contracted fee arrangement. Okay, so that's just saying it's too high. And that's what this number here is saying it's too high by. So like essentially this is the PPO discount that we've seen on the other EOBs, where we would subtract the total amount submitted minus their discount equals the actual fee. So same thing, just different verbiage here. I know it's a little weird, but the totals are also up here as well. So again, you can always double check everything up there. Insurers paid us $198.10. Patient owes $84.90 equals $283. Okay. On to the next claim here. We have a patient name of John. Insured is also John. Could be the same person, could be father, son. Typically there is a junior senior situation or per second, third after the last name, but doesn't always happen. So, but you can check the insured ID. Remember, there is no date of birth on this EOB. Next is the date of service. We have service date here for 11/30 of 21. Procedure code looks like it was just a cleaning and an exam here. Insurance paid us $97. So you can see claim payment amount $97. Patient is responsible for nothing. Coverage amount or the total contracted fees is $97. In this case here, because they did pay everything in full, you can look at the payment amount here of the 32 and the 65, and those are going to be the contracted fee amounts. Okay. Moving on to Cigna. As you can see, this one is very different than the others. And we'll go down here to the claim details. Patient name right here up front, we have John Spade. There is no date of birth on this EOB. We have subscriber down here, as you can see, John Spade. And then the patient ID is the member ID there. Next, we're going to look for date of service, September 3rd of 2021. And these are the codes down here, okay? So it's just split out a little bit differently. And then the tooth quad arc number follows after it as well, okay? All right, so we're going to go to the insurance coverage. Okay, so now this EOB is a little bit unique in the sense of, so you have totals that are down here, but the totals right here that it says amount paid by the plan and customer responsibility, these are the totals here that you are going off of, okay? So as you can see, the plan covered totals are always going to be the same, all right? But the patient co-insurance over here does not match, and it isn't always the same because there are this EOB just reads a little differently, okay? So this is one where you do want to pay attention to all of the information because it doesn't quite spell it out for you always. All right, so as you can see here, patient responsibility is 524.60, 524.60. Customer responsibility is 2,577 and 24. Okay, so looking at this here, here's what we're going to do. As you can see here, your contracted amount, these are the total fees that you have for each code, okay? As you can see in the next one over, amount eligible for coverage by the plan, and you can see over here what they plan covered here. As you can see, this bottom line down here, nothing is eligible for coverage and insurance didn't pay anything. So in this instance, for this specific type of EOB, this code down here is not actually included in the amount paid or the customer responsibility because there is a denial on this code, okay? If we see note in S, benefits are not provided for duplicate claim submissions. According to our records, a determination for this claim has already been previously rendered. So they are not paying on this, okay? On this specific code, on this specific claim. So the way to find out the totals and of everything is to double check the numbers. So bring up our calculator here. So we're going to do the amount paid by the plan, which is $524.60. Plus customer responsibility, which is 257724. Okay. All right. Let's grab another calculator here. Now, as you can see, the total contracted amount that we have over here is 3906.18. We're going to subtract the 3101.84 equaling 804.34. 804.34. So that's the amount here for this code because they're not actually including this. This total amount is not actually accurate for this claim. It is the total contracted amount for these, but realistically, in this sense, it is not accurate because they are not including this in the payment or patient responsibility because as previously been determined, okay? So let's go back to that. Let's do the 3906.18. We're going to minus that code amount. Okay, we get that total. And here we are there. Okay. So as you can see, patient coinsurance doesn't quite match up. Okay. It's a little weird, and whenever the patient wants a further explanation for one of these types of EOBs where it isn't very clear, the way it works is, as you can see, the amount eligible for the coverage by the plan is this fee here. But we are contracted with the insurance for this fee over here. So due to the patient's coverage, insurance is going to cover this fee right here, this fee right here of the 515 at the 50%. That's why they're only covering the 257.50, okay? So that being said, there is an additional balance because we do have a contracted amount with them. That is why the patient coinsurance does not match the patient responsibility. Now, not all of the MetLife EOBs are like this, or I'm sorry, the Cigna EOBs are like this, okay? If we scroll down to the next one, you see here the amount eligible for coverage and the contracted amounts. These are the same here, okay? So it's just per plan. I specifically pulled this EOB just to show you that it doesn't always match up and everything isn't always perfect. So you do want to triple check your work, do a couple calculations here and there just to make sure that you are putting things correctly into EagleSoft. Actually, before we go down to the next one, let's go ahead and look at the C notes or the remark codes. We already looked at the NS down here, but let's look at these LWs. We scroll down. Plan allowance is based on the non-precious metal procedure for anterior. Okay. Benefits may be applied to the treatment of your choice. Okay. So that's just saying it is a down code due to they don't covered, the metals that we use, they only, or the what we use, they only cover the metals, okay? So that's why these fees are different here than they are over here, okay? Scrolling down to the next one here, patient name, we have Elizabeth Spade. Remember, there is no date of birth on this one. Subscriber name is Elizabeth Spade as well. We have the patient or member ID here. Date of service, September 23rd. Looks like we had some extractions done. Over here, we scroll down. As you can see, it says continued. Make sure you always look for the totals here. Amount paid by a plan, they paid $943.80. As you can see, it matches there. And the customer responsibility, $275.20. As you can see, patient coinsurance, again, this total does not match here. It is because of the deductible that's over here. That's why we always just look at these down here, the totals of the amount paid by plan and customer responsibility at the very bottom of that claim detail, because we do want to make sure that we're putting in the correct amounts. Over here we have our contracted amounts, and as you can see, these do match for the eligible plan, the amount eligible for coverage by the plan. So these coverages of the 80 and 100% are actually accurate. We do have a note here for PN. Let's see, based on information submitted or on file, another procedure code has been assigned. Okay. So they must have just given a different exam code for this. So in EagleSoft, it might be different. It might be a 120 or a D0150, and they're providing payment for a D0140 is what they're saying. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and do our math on this one. 943.80 plus 275.20, 1,219 even. And there you are. All right, let's go on to the CHP Plus plan. These are going to be set up the same as your Medicaid. So I do have these EOBs back to back. The difference is in a CHP plan, there is a patient portion. Okay, so regardless if it's Medicaid or CHP, anytime you are pulling from DentaQuest, always just be aware of the patient pay column over here. Okay, so first and foremost, we always want to find the patient name. We have Timothy up here. Date of birth is going to be right under, is at the bottom of this column right here, 3/1 of 2010, and the member number. With any DentaQuest plan in the sense of your CHP and Medicaid and Medicare plans, the patient is always the member, so there is no difference in that. But I have highlighted the member ID there in blue for you. All right, we have date of service right here. It looks like we're seeing on 2/5 of 22. The submitted codes over here to the left, which are the services rendered. It looks like we just had some fillings done. There's their tooth number. Let's go over here. Plan pay is what insurance has paid us. We go down to the very bottom for the total of $466. Let's see. It looks like we do have a patient portion. Patient pays $555. We look over here to the far right, the processing policies. These are our remark codes. It looks like we have 2054 on quite a few of them. So these remark codes are always at the bottom of the EOBs. So let's scroll down here. The annual maximum benefit provision of the patient's benefit plan was reached for this claim. Any portion of the service line in excess of the maximum will not be paid and is patient responsibility. Okay, that's very important because with any CHP or Medicaid plans, if we submit something incorrectly, we are unable to charge the patient. The only time that we can charge the patient is when they tell us specifically that there is a patient responsibility here, or if we have this specific code saying that they have reached their annual maximum and anything in excess is patient responsibility. Okay, so we have here they paid us $466, patient owes $555. We have our approved amount, which is the same thing as our contracted fees. Okay, as you can see, submitted, approved, allowed. All right, let's do our math here. So insurance paid $466, patient was $555, and we have $1,021 right on the dot there. Okay, Let's go ahead and scroll down. As you can see here, this is a copay plan. Sorry, let me go a little more in detail. Up here it says $10 copay. And if you can see here, it has the copay and then $10 down for each specific code. So 90 of this 555 was actually just copay that the patient was going to owe regardless. And then the rest of this down here obviously is because they exceeded their maximum and they do owe the full fees there. Okay. Oops. Scroll on this next one here, patient name, we have Timothy again. Member ID number, his date of birth. Remember, member and subscriber are the same here. And as you can see, same person, same date of service, even similar codes, okay? So always be diligent that you are looking at the codes. Obviously, there's more on this claim than there is on this, but again, just be diligent when you're entering into EagleSoft that you are matching up the date of service and the codes before you enter in the payment, okay? Oops. Looking here, insurance paid $359. Patient owes us $40, okay? Looks like this just for his copays over here. We have the approved amount of $399. Okay, go ahead and do the math on that of $359 plus 40, $399. Okay, so those are the amounts that need to be entered into EagleSoft per code there. Okay. Last but not least, again, Timothy, member ID, date of birth. As you can see, same date of service, different codes. This is going to be for his cleaning. So we got lots of fillings and a cleaning done on that date of service. So again, just be aware before entering in each payment that you are putting them in with the correct claim. Interest paid us $175. Patient owes nothing on this one. There is no copay or anything, so patient does owe nothing. Make sure that these fees here are the same in EagleSoft as they are on this EOB. Okay, now on to Medicaid. As you will see here for this first one, we have Timothy again with the member ID number and the date of birth there. Okay, date of service 2/8. Looks like he had some extractions done. All right. Looking here, we have insurance paid $673 and 35 cents. Patient owes nothing here. But I want you to remember we always want to look at the remark codes. 2054, if you don't recall from the last one. We'll go ahead and scroll down and read again. So 2054 is the animal maximum benefit provision of this patient's benefit plan was reached for this claim. Any portion of this service line in excess of the maximum will not be paid and is patient responsibility. Okay, so even though it says right here that patient owes nothing, the truth is the patient does owe. The patient in fact owes. We're going to take the approved amount of the $235.53 and we're going to subtract what insurance paid us, which is $71.21, and the patient portion is actually $164.32 for this date of service. Okay, so again, be aware, be diligent, make sure that you're looking at all of the important information, these key elements on the EOB before going on to the next claim, okay? Because had you not read this, I mean, it says here patient doesn't know. So, but if you were looking at the approved amounts and making sure that the fees were in there correctly, you would see that, obviously EagleSoft would then project a balance and which could cause confusion, especially because we know when it comes to Medicaid, typically the patient does not have to pay. But with that code there, it does say that they do, so let's be sure that we are charging the patient the correct amount. All right, going down to the next EOB here, or the next claim, I apologize. Patient name is Elizabeth, member ID, date of birth 2/11/85. Okay, we have date of service here of 2/16/2022. Looks like she was seen for some fillings. Okay, we're going to go over here, plan pay. We do not have a total line, so we're going to keep scrolling down to the next one. As you can see, all information is still same here. Look here, item number 9. If you're ever wondering if it is a continuation, you can see here, it does number them. Okay, so going down. So the total the plan paid was $1,057.85. they have patient pay at 0, and the approved amount is $1,057.85. So they did pay everything in full there. As you can see, there are no remark codes on this claim. Just be sure that those approved amounts are the same fees that we have in EagleSoft. Next claim, again with Elizabeth, member ID, we have the date of birth there. Date of service, same as 216. We have a filling, as you could see, it was just 1 on this one. So again, want to be diligent that we are putting everything in correctly. We got the plan paid us, so insurance paid $151.25. Patient owes nothing. There are no remark codes, and as you can see, the approved amount of $151.25 and $151.25, they match there, meaning everything was paid in full. Next claim. If you look here, you'll see that the date of services match, the code and tooth number match for Elizabeth here. So this is obviously a duplicate claim, and you'll see here that it was obviously processing policy previous claim down here. So it is just a duplicate claim. But we are going to go over here to the 2088 and 2029 for the remark codes. 2088, service exceeds benefit allowance. Service is limited to 1 per every 36 months. So this is a frequency issue. And then the procedure is a duplicate of a service previously processed. So again, just a duplicate claim. Obviously, they paid this claim in full on the line above. So no worries there. Don't need to do anything with this specific claim as it was already adjudicated in EagleSoft previously on the line above. Oops. Next claim here is going to be for John. Member ID here, we have the date of birth of 1/1 of 1980. We have date of service of 2/18 of 2022. Looks like he was seen for some fillings, and we're going to go here. Insurance paid us $370.05. Approved amount was $370.05, and patient pay is 0, meaning paid in full, and there are no remark codes, so no patient portion or anything, no denials. Everything's good to go. Okay, so that is your Medicaid EOB. Last but not least, I'm going to go ahead and do an Argus. This is just kind of one of those different off EOBs. We don't see very frequent. We don't typically utilize this insurance company, but I just wanted to show that this is another example of some of those smaller companies, how they do rearrange things differently than the other companies. And so I just want you to be aware of the different verbiages and how to look for different things. Okay, as you can see down here, I've highlighted the patient name of John. There is no subscriber name on here, but we do have the member ID over here, date of birth underneath the name. We have the date of service or service date of 11/18, the code over here. So looks like we had a filling done. Payment amount or what insurance has paid. We always again want to look at the totals. So we have 188 of 91. Patient responsibility over here of 0. As you can see here, there is a copay amount of 0 over here. Just wanted to kind of show you there that there is nothing. Patient doesn't owe any deductibles or anything. Typically, if there was an issue or remark, it would be right here with reason code, and then there would be a remark or a code right here, and it would be under here under the service description. But again, always just be diligent when looking at these EOBs. Take all of these different key elements, and I want you to take all that information and problem solve and getting the correct information input into EagleSoft. If something is denied, make sure that you're resubmitting it right away with the correct information. That way that we're not wasting any time or we're not going past the timely filing, and we're receiving all of the payments that we can from their insurance companies. I sincerely hope that this video helps you, and if you have any questions or would like me to add anything further in the future, please reach out to the corporate team, as we would love your feedback, and we would love to add anything more to help you in the future.